Every season, the Premier League sees a few young stars burst onto the scene. Players like Phil Foden and Bukayo Saka come from nowhere and take the whole league by storm. Last season, we saw Rico Lewis, Elise, Evan Ferguson and more surprise us all, and inevitably there'll be more to come this season. Welcome back to Inmr, where today I'm going to be talking about every Premier League club's next Wonderkid. Starting off with Arsenal, I've got Amari Benjamin, 17-year-old striker. He's very fast and good with the ball at his feet. Versatile player as well. He can play on the left wing, right wing and up front. Those of you that would have heard of him, it's probably because of his game against Spurs last season. He got a first half hat-trick and of course had a very good all-round performance. Ethan Nwaneri was given a chance by Mikel Arteta last season at just 15 years old, and actually in the youth sides, him and Benjamin link up really well. Even at just 17 years old, it doesn't seem like pressure's a problem for him. In the FA Youth Cup, he's got 3 goals in 6 games, including a goal in the final. In the under-18 Prem, he's scored 11 goals in 16 games, and of course with these impressive performances, he's been involved in Wales' youth setup. We've seen so many players come through Arsenal's academy over recent years. I think they're one of the best for it at the minute, and I do think Amari Benjamin could be one of the next players to break out and show just how good he is. Moving on to Aston Villa, I've gone for Aaron Ramsey, who is of course Jacob Ramsey's brother. 20-year-old attacking midfielder. Similar to his brother, he's a very good finisher, confident on the ball with both passing and dribbling. He creates lots of good chances and plenty of key passes in the game. I think obviously we saw his brother Jacob Ramsey come into the Villa squad and perform really well, in really good form. Obviously he was doing well in the under-21s England setup most recently, and I do think if Aaron Ramsey possesses the same sort of ability that he does, which it seems he does, they seem like similar players, if he's close to how good his brother is, I think he will be given a chance very soon. For Bournemouth, I've gone for Ilya Zabarnyi. He was signed from Dynamo Kiev in, I believe, the January transfer window. Of course, that means he's got UCL experience, obviously playing for Dynamo Kiev. He's a mature player for his age and doesn't concede many fouls. He's a ball-playing centre-back, obviously meaning he's a very good passer of the ball, which has benefited Bournemouth towards the back end of the season. Anyone that might have seen him during the Euro 2020 campaign would see how well he reads the game, which could benefit Bournemouth this season. Obviously, they could struggle this season, so it could be tricky for him to shine, but I do think his abilities could help Bournemouth be in much better form at the start of this season. For Brentford, I've gone for Kevin Shard. He's got very good aerial presence. He wins 4.83 aerial duels per 90. He's a speedy and skillful player. The one thing I would say, I think, from watching him, I think he probably does need to work on his passing ability, but he definitely makes up for it for his individual qualities on the ball. One big thing this season is that he's going to be having a lot more game time, of course, with Ivan Toney being out until about January. That gives him half the season to show what he can do. For Brighton, of course, they had Evan Ferguson break out last season. He did really well. 18-year-old striker burst onto the scene. This season, I'm predicting Cam Pupion. He's had 16 goal contributions in 28 games this season. Very recently, he won Player of the Month in Premier League 2. He's been in very good form. He was rewarded with a chance in the first team. He's been doing really well for Australia in the youth teams. Although he might not get loads of chances this season, I think the season after that we will see a lot more of him, and he is a winger with very good potential. For Burnley, I've gone for Anas Zaoury, 22-year-old left winger, played very well in the Championship for Burnley last season. 27 starts, 12 goal contributions and created 40 chances for his side. He's an exciting prospect who can set up teammates and also score himself. He's an all-rounder in that sense going forward. He could be a very good player in a few years' time, and I think has the potential to surprise a few Premier League fullbacks at the start of this season with his ability. People are going to underestimate players from these teams that have just been promoted, so I think maybe there'll be a few games at the start where Zaoury can catch out these fullbacks. For Chelsea, this one's a little bit cheeky because he's already sort of had a breakout season on loan. I've gone for Levi Colwill. Of course, played for Brighton. As a Brighton fan, I watched him a lot, but I think everyone can agree that he's had a tremendous season with Brighton. Another very mature player, only 20 years old. A brilliant season on loan at Brighton was a key part of why they got European football, and I think If Chelsea can hold on to him and he keeps up that form over the next few seasons, he could cement himself as one of the best centre-backs in the league. Brighton have offered 40 million, Liverpool are interested, but Chelsea aren't accepting anything. I think they know that he has the potential to be one of the best in England. Of course, as a Brighton fan, I'd love to get him permanently. He's technically brilliant on the ball, left-footed centre-back, which everyone wants nowadays. He's a very progressive player, likes to travel with the ball and wins possession high up the pitch, which has benefited Brighton hugely last season. For Crystal Palace, I've gone for Malcolm Ebiowei. He's been an impressive signing for Palace as he's a player with lots of potential. He hasn't quite hit the ground running since joining from Derby, but I think a loan move would be great for him as he does have the ability to go on and be a top player. We saw Eze and Elise break out last season, doing very well now, and I think Ebiowei could be the next player that does that, but I do think a loan move this season would be great, and then he can come back next year and then maybe be what Crystal Palace need going forward. For Everton, I've gone for Ishe Samuel-Smith, a 17-year-old defender who's come through the youth rankings, signed for the first team last November. No debut just yet, but once again a player with lots of potential and could do well in a few years' time. Similar to Ebiowei for Palace, he'd definitely benefit from a loan move. He's been involved in the England youth squad and has been playing in the under-23 squad for Everton, of course, meaning he's been playing with players up to 5 years older and therefore 5 years more experience. Everton fans are really excited about him, which I think says a lot because obviously they're going to see a lot of him. They'll be critical when they need to be, but also have the knowledge to say actually he is going to go far. And from what I've seen and from what Everton fans are saying, he could be a star for the Toffees in the future. Moving on to Fulham, I'm thinking Luke Harris is going to be their next Wonderkid. He was the joint third top goal scorer last season in Premier League 2. He's a goal scoring midfielder. He's been playing for older teams for years. Even when he was 15, he was scoring goals frequently for the under-18 teams. He's featured for Wales internationally. He himself says he bases his playing style off of Frank Lampard, and I think the young midfielder has got a lot of potential to go very far. Liverpool, someone we did see a little bit of last season, is Stefan Bajcetic. He was introduced to the first team and impressed massively. He's good in the air, carries the ball cleanly out of defence. When he played for Celta Vigo, the academy staff was saying that he's very good as a fullback and a centre-back as well as a midfielder. And I think this versatility is something that Klopp could definitely use, as he's an all-rounder in terms of attributes on the pitch. And he could be a key player for Liverpool in years to come. For Luton, I've gone for Louis Watson, player to look out for this season if he's given a chance. In the Championship last season, he only played 220 minutes. When he did feature, he always impressed. He caught the eyes of many football fans with his full debut against Huddersfield, where he was pulling the strings really well in midfield. In that game, he had a 94% passing accuracy, and throughout all the games he played in, that percentage did stay pretty high. Only 22 years old, but already very confident in his ability, a player I'm personally looking forward to seeing, and a player with good potential all around. Once again, with these newly promoted sides, people won't be expecting any player to sort of stand out, let alone a 22-year-old who got 200 minutes in the Championship. But as I said, very confident, so maybe he could take a few teams by surprise. Moving on to Manchester City. Now, this is a player that Man City fans are very excited about. He's a very fast and physical player who plays out on the left-hand side, as that is his strong foot. However, he can play on the other side as well. Carlos Borges is a very skillful and clinical player in front of goal. He scored 21 goals last season and claimed 12 assists in the PL2, and that is in just 24 games. In the UEFA Youth League, he got 4 goals and 6 assists, and in the EFL Trophy, he got 4 goals and 1 assist in 3 games. When he's on the pitch, it's game over for most fullbacks. However, he is yet to have his Premier League debut. Of course, Rico Lewis got his chance last season, and I think it's Borges' turn next. Manchester United, once again, bit of a cheeky one similar to Colwill, is Amad Diallo. Of course, had a great loan spell at Sunderland last season, showing his potential. His passing, dribbling and end product are his best attributes in my opinion, which is obviously key for a player in his position. For his passing, I think his long passing especially is really good. There's been instances in games where he's taken half of the opposition out with just one play. When he's on the right side and it's overloaded, he easily switches the play over to the left winger that's isolated on the other side, which has created plenty of chances for his side. He's scored 14 goals this season. His finishing is just exceptional. A lot of the time you'll see him cut in from the right onto his left foot. But also, what defenders seem to be struggling with in the Championship is that he's just as good with his right. So you show him down the wing, it's not a good idea because he can whip it in. But also showing him inside, he just cuts in, shoots with his left, it's a goal. There's not much that they've been able to do about it. Maybe in the Premier League, defenders are a bit more experienced, would know what to do. But I think if Diallo's given a chance and he takes it, on his day, there is nothing that defenders can do. In terms of dribbling, his close control and footwork is exactly what's made lots of fullbacks struggle. And what's different last season to even further back than that is that he's now so much more relentless, meaning he's much more successful one-on-one and therefore, of course, creating lots more chances. He may have another loan spell at a high Championship club or a low Premier League club, but I don't think it's going to be long before Ten Hag has no choice but to make him a United regular because, as I said, he's really honed his skills at Sunderland. If he goes on loan again, it's only going to get better than that. And then I do think United are going to have him as one of their key players. Newcastle United, I've gone for Elliot Anderson. He's been a fan favourite as he's climbed up the academy rankings. I think he needs another loan move to perfect his craft. He's been successful on loan in the past, particularly in the 21-22 season, where he was a massive part of Bristol Rovers' promotion to League One. I don't think he's going to get minutes at the minute. Of course, Newcastle have had a great season last year. They're going to be focusing on much bigger and better things than betting all their chips on a young superstar. I think they can send him out on loan and then it's a win-win. He can get some more experience, they can continue to grow, and then when the time's right, they can then integrate him into that first team. I think 1 or 2 more loan spells and then he'll be ready to step up to that top level and show his talent to the world. Dale Taylor is my player I've chosen for Nottingham Forest. He's a 19-year-old Irish forward. One Irish forward in Evan Ferguson had a breakout season last year, and now Taylor could have his chance to replicate what the Brighton star did. Last summer he secured a 3-year deal with Forest as the club regard him highly as a youth prospect. He was on loan at Burton last season, only got 5 goals in 20 games, but he's gaining lots of experience playing senior football at just 19 years old. He's also featured for Northern Ireland a couple of times, and I think because of this he's going to be really mature in a couple of years. He will have adapted the demand of playing football with guys who have years and years more experience behind them, but already he's a fearless attacker who definitely has a bright future ahead of him. Sheffield United are the final promoted club that we're going to go through today, and I've chosen Iliman Ndiaye as my next player. He was playing Sunday League 4 years ago and now he's a Premier League footballer. He featured in the recent World Cup and impressed. His interview with Sky Sports before Senegal faced England was brilliant. You could just see how much of a resilient player he is. Even when he was in non-league, he wouldn't accept a plan B. He told everyone he was going to go pro and that there was no alternative, and now of course he's at the top level. We now see that resilience in his game. He's a relentless player who never gives up. He is in demand at the minute, but I think if Sheffield United can hold on to him, they'll have a great chance of having a positive season. His ball-winning ability under pressure is excellent, and once he gets it back, he showcases good dribbling and footwork, but at the same time isn't selfish. He knows the areas that he needs to be cheeky and put it round a few players, but doesn't hold on for it for too long, which I think is really important, and a lot of young players might not have that. He was a star player last season. He got 14 goals and 10 assists. A good season this year in the Prem could open up lots of doors for him this time next year. Tottenham's player, I have gone for Niall John. He can play in the 6, 8 or 10 role. He's a very versatile player, very energetic, skilled with both feet. Only 19, so he's obviously got a lot to learn, but I think a move to a Championship or even League One side could be good to help him hone his skills. He's represented England from the under 15 level all the way up to under 19. Spurs know the talent he's got as they've just extended his contract by 2 years. He's only had 3 goal contributions last season, but as I said, a move to League One or the Championship would be massively beneficial and he would come good in the future. For West Ham, I've gone for Divin Mbama. West Ham have a massive gem on their hands, in my opinion. If given a chance in the first team, he could absolutely explode, given he can replicate what he's been doing in the Premier League too. Although he's only 18, he could get his chance very soon, as Danny Ings and Antonio aren't getting any younger. He was the second top goal scorer behind Carlos Borges. In 39 games, he scored 27 goals and claimed 5 assists in all competitions, meaning he was averaging a goal contribution every 89 minutes in all competitions, which, as I said, could cause him to be the next big Premier League star if he can keep up that form in the first team for West Ham. Finally, we've got Wolves, and I think their next young star is going to be Dexter Lambakisa. He's got great potential in the modern wing-back role. He impressed massively during the FA Cup game against Liverpool. Played at right back but got forward really well and looked a threat when doing so. Once again, if given minutes next season, he's going to be someone who inevitably shines. That is where I'm going to end the podcast. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll be back soon with another one.